Hello, my name is Augustine Sorie-Sengbe Marrah. I'm a lawyer, constitutional expert, and good governance enthusiast. I'm also a professional.
So good evening, Mr. Marrah, and welcome to the Meet Professional show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So how have you been?
Not so good, not so bad.
Okay. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about your professional journey as who is Mr. Augustine Sorie-Sengbe Marrah?
I like to think about myself as multifaceted, in that I do a lot of different work.
Okay.
But also I have a lot of capabilities as well.
Right.
So in short, I am a lawyer first by profession.
Okay.
I'm also a good governance activist, and yes, I'm a human being.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I think we might have various differences,
right,
but our humanity is common.
Right.
And so many times we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that
we're humans.
The common denominator is that we're humans.
Okay.
Yes.
So why choose law? Why law as a profession?
You know, I'll tell you a story. So when I think I stumbled on a piece of documents, apparently, you know, they used to have this practicing teachers.
Right, teaching practice.
You know?
Yeah.
So apparently one of the teaching practice tutors had written about me in class 6. And in that child's study assessment, she noted that I said I wanted to be a lawyer. I could not recall. We did not have a lawyer in our family. We were so poor I could not have any access to any lawyer.
Right.
You know, but I said that. I mean, since it's in writing, it's difficult to negate that.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, I think I've been inspired by just the many justice issues there, and growing up during the Civil War, which undoubtedly was sparked by many discontents in society. So I felt that I was inspired by just the need for justice.
Okay.
But to say I had any figure then that was, you know, inspired me, no.
Okay.
I don't know where I got that inspiration. At tender age.
Right.
But I grew up eventually pursuing that passion.
Okay. So now you're a lawyer, and practicing law, I beg your pardon, in this part of the world brings a lot of challenges, right? So let's talk briefly around that. As a lawyer, as a human rights activist, let's talk about some of the challenges you are facing or you have faced.
I tell you what, you know, before now, I mean, I have to be honest that lawyers in this part of the world, despite the many challenges, they also make a lot of money. So we should really side of that
the
fact.
bag's full.
But having said that, because we have a dysfunctional system,
right,
because the architecture of justice is not fully there as it is, the whole machinery of justice is it's not truly functional. So it's very difficult to say that we're in a perfect system. And so because of the many imperfections, once you want to be an activist lawyer, you're faced with many challenges along the way. Because mind you, and this is the difference I always mention to many people, that the difference between me and other activists is that you can be a lawyer, but if you run an organization, you can use your office and hold the judiciary to account. Okay. You do not go to court on a daily basis. So that's fine. Right. But for me, I go to court every day of my life. Okay. So I speak against folks whom I appear before on a daily basis. It's difficult. Right. It's like, picture this: if you have a boss in your office and you keep on, you know, criticizing, not frivolously, for all the legitimate
constructively.
Yes. But then you appear before your boss every day of your life. It's difficult.
It is.
So, and that's the difference between those activists who are in actual practice and those activists who run organizations. And so, I tell you what, it's very difficult. Once you have knowledge about human rights, once you understand good governance, once you understand how the machinery of justice should function. It's difficult when you are a witness to everything that is contrary to what justice should be. It's really difficult. It's a daily ordeal.
Okay, so you are passionate about good governance and the rule of law, and not many people are interested in that. And in fact, people are not interested in that because they want to make money, even lawyers as well.
Correct, yes.
So why are you concerned? You are passionate about rule of law and good governance. Why? Because a lot of posts on Twitter, Facebook has to do with we or Sierra Leoneans having a structured system of governance wherein that is free and fair for everyone. Why?
So I tell you, I think two fundamental reasons. One is that we have gone through a path that was disastrous.
Okay.
We went through a decade and more of civil unrest. Okay. And the decimation of our natural resources, population, the destiny of the country was affected severely. We have many Sierra Leoneans who live overseas, who at the mention of Sierra Leone would echo memories of rape, maiming, destruction, etc., etc.
Right.
So we have a duty as a country to make this country right, so that folks who have gone away for all the right reasons, running away from all the decadence there is, will come back to Sierra Leone. We have a duty, especially as lawyers, we are the keepers of the law.
Right.
Right? If we desecrate the law, if we do not stand up for the right things, it would affect us. Remember during the Civil War, the rebels, for example, they were looking out for judges, lawyers, because they think that lawyers were complicit in terms of all the problems we face as a nation.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that lawyer. I want to be that lawyer that would make money legitimately, but also I want to be that lawyer that would echo the need for good governance. Because believe you me, when there is good governance, there is an economic boom. Once there is an economic boom, it's money for all. It's money for lawyers, money for doctors, money for academics like you, Mr. KEBE, and money for students as well. They would aspire to be involved in one or two professions in life and make legitimate earnings. So it's very difficult, especially when the TRC report narrated all the ordeal that this nation went through, but also put a charge on lawyers that in fact it was a collective silence of lawyers that largely precipitated the war. And I think that I don't want to be part of that collective silent group. I want to speak up, and I want to hold our leaders to account, to say that once you fix this country, you're not only fixing this country for us, you're fixing the country for generations.
For everyone. I think that's very much assertive. Now, before we go for break, Sorie-Sengbe Marrah is a distinct advocate in Sierra Leone. What makes you different?
I think the difference is that because I have access to power, I tell you, I have many friends who are in governance. In the past regime, when I tell you friends, I'm not telling you about acquaintance, I'm telling you about real friends who are in the highest corridors of power, who we hang out together, we eat together, we crack jokes together, but they know at the end of the day that I tell them the utter truth, that we have a duty to fix this country. And I think, many people have approached me, to say, don't you fear for your livelihood? Yeah. Don't you fear that you would go to bed hungry?
You step on the toes of someone.
Yes, I said no. As a matter of fact, once you attain this platform, there are many opportunities there. Right. I'm not saying it's a very challenging path, I must be honest with you, but I tell you what, the difference has been consistency. Because during the APC regime, when I was speaking up, I had instances in which some folks approached me to say, oh, do you have any hatred or malice or some rancor against APC government? I said, why should I? My uncle is the Minister of Finance, Dr. Marrah, became bank governor, and then the family gathered at some point and they held a meeting. They thought, I was undermining the chances of Dr. Marrah because of my activist work.
Okay.
But little did they realize that I was not against a particular regime. I was against leadership who fail to deliver on their promises, and that's continued to be my position. And I think if you talk about difference, we have had many voices in Sierra Leone. After a few years, they simmer down, they join the establishment.
Of course.
And the other difference is that most of those voices were older people who have made it in life. It's difficult when you're a young man making it in life.
Yeah.
It's difficult because now you're thinking about your children, your future.
Exactly.
Many people have said to me, you didn't create anything but them picking them. I said, no, God can take care of them. God will take care of them. If I do what is right in society, there's a space for me.
Okay.
There's a future for me.
Okay, so I'd like to hold the conversation there. Of course, we have been speaking to Augustine Sorie-Sengbe Marrah.
So it's Sengbe.
Sengbe
I want to
Marrah.
be different from David Sengbe.
Okay, Sengbe Marrah, a lawyer with a difference, an advocate who is a very trusted advocate in the dispensation of Sierra Leone. So we'll hold you right there and we'll come back to continue the conversation. Welcome again, viewers. This is the Meet Professionals TV show with me, KEBE. Well, Meet Professionals is a high-level conversational show where I hold esteemed conversations with entrepreneurs, academics, lawyers, different professionals from all walks of life. Well, for today's edition on the show, we have with us Mr. Augustine Sorie-Sengbe Marrah, a very strong advocate in Sierra Leone and also a lawyer. So welcome again to the show, Mr. Marrah.
Thank you, Mr. KEBE.
Okay, so we have spoken a lot about your interest in rule of law, good governance in Sierra Leone. But I'd like us to talk briefly about our legal system in Sierra Leone.
Okay, so it's interesting because we have a British-styled legal system.
Okay.
In that judicial system is patterned after England,
okay.
Where they have the common law, and that's common law has basically been introduced in a number of countries across the world. In
okay.
some states in America, for example, do have common law as their legal system. But quite apart from that, we also have our own laws. So many scholars would say that we have a fused system,
okay.
in that it's an amalgam of the British system and our own Sierra Leonean system. And a part of our Sierra Leonean system is that we also have a customary law system where, for example, in the provinces, customary law does apply.
More.
Right?
Yeah.
But essentially we have the common law, and part of the common law is also equity. And it's important to know that equity means fairness, good conscience, right? So it's very fundamental when we speak about justice to note that we have a system. If we apply the system to the letter, we would have a functional justice system. So it's not the normative system that is faulty, it's the practice of the law that is faulty.
So why do you think the practice of the law is a problem in Sierra Leone?
So you could have the best norms in the world, right? These norms do not lift themselves off the pages to become practice. They are taken by humans and they are being applied by humans. So if there's an unwillingness on the part of humans, or there's a lack of capacity on the part of humans to apply those norms, you can have the most fantastic laws in the world. If you do not have human beings who are willing and capable to apply those laws, then those laws, they are as good as the ink on paper.
Okay.
So just to mention that, yes, we have very good laws. I always tell people that we have so many good laws. What we do not have is an appetite to apply these good laws, to consistently apply them, and to not only consistently apply them, but to apply them without discrimination.
Okay, so what needs to be factored into that equation we have the many good laws, but however, it is the willingness to apply these laws that is a problem for Sierra Leone, right? It's just like formulating a strategy and implementing it.
Correct, yes.
So if you are not implementing well, you could not achieve your goal.
Of course.
So how do we make sure that our laws are implemented? What needs to be done?
So I think we'll come back, and I mentioned the place of human beings.
Okay.
Right. So you have the court, you have judicial officers, you have judges, you have lawyers, you have court registrars, you have bailiffs, etc., etc. Okay. So all of these components of humans must function in a way that they fit a system.
Okay.
Right? What we have now is so much of dysfunctional system where these pieces in the machinery of justice do not seem to work together. Right? And once you have that, then you would not attain that level of justice, and sadly, so what we need, just to answer your question, for example, when in Rwanda, after the genocide, they had many judges, about more than 1,000.
Okay.
Right. What Kagame did was to cut down on the number. So you would think that you need many judges to attain justice. No. In fact, when you have many incompetent judicial officers, it's a problem for the justice system.
Okay.
So what he did was to cut down the number. Once the number was cut down, then the judicial machinery started operating well with competent appointments which were not politically motivated, if you may.
Right.
You appoint folks who are the best in the legal profession. Once you do that, you'd have a functional system. But once you effect appointment based on political lines, for example, you'll always have political stooges.
Okay.
On administering justice. Okay. And you know what that means.
Yeah, sure.
It means that who calls the piper, who pays the piper calls the tune.
Yeah. So if you continue to listen to Mr. Marrah, you definitely want to be a lawyer. So I'll move away a bit from that. So if you were not a lawyer, which profession do you think would have suited you best?
Not a profession. I think I would have been a rap star.
A rap star? Really?
So I was in love with, I grew up with, obviously during a generation, I grew up with Tupac, Biggie. So I was inspired a lot by rap music. So I used to write a lot of rap music.
Oh, really?
Yes. Somehow my late brother, he also loved music. So we did, I did write a few. We had a certain group then in the eastern part of Freetown where I grew up. So I did a lot of music, and I think if I were not a lawyer by then, I would have been a rap star. Maybe you would have come to my event.
We would have bought tickets for your show.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would have had back-to-back sold out tours.
Shows,
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, but I love music. I think in a way, I'm actually very inspired by Bob Marley as well.
Okay.
Because I have a Pan-African background.
Right.
So, but just to answer you that I love music a lot. But I have to be honest that I've stopped, rap music and stuff a long time. I do listen a lot.
Okay.
But then I stopped writing and rapping as well.
I think we need to see you writing and go do one track in the studio.
As a matter of fact, I've spoken to Kabaka.
Okay.
I said to him, once I have some space, I would write down some lines and would gladly invite me into his studio. Right.
We're looking forward to that. So now we're coming to the end of the interview. Now, there's one question that I'd like to ask. Do you have a mentor?
Wow. Yes, and I have to be honest with you. I have very few mentors.
Okay.
And I have people who are not very famous in Sierra Leone. I start with a female mentor. I I don't know whether you know Binta Mansaye. She's the registrar of the special court.
Okay.
She's been there for long. I mean, speaking for myself, I think she's perhaps the most competent Sierra Leonean woman I've come across.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but she's not very popular in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
She has, I mean, with the assistance and help of the government of Sierra Leone, but she has been the key person who has kept the special court in operations for many years now. And
right.
as a registrar of the special court, you have quite an enormous responsibility.
Okay.
You know, I was lucky once I finished law school in 2009, July, I got an internship and I worked with her.
Okay.
Oh my God, I felt like on a daily basis I was inspired.
Wow.
By a Sierra Leonean woman. I mean, attention to details, competence, and you know what? The position she occupies was normally all the predecessors were lawyers. Okay. So it's essentially a position for a lawyer. She's not a lawyer. I think she had English or something at Fabre College, but she has discharged the duties of that office so competently.
Oh, wow.
And for many years, and she has kept the special court as an international institution together. So she's remained my female mentor in Sierra Leone. She's she's not involved in many of these feminist movements, etc., but she's a quiet, competent professional.
Right.
In terms of male mentors, I have few, but top of the list is Miss Ayada Williams. She's also a lawyer for over 25, going to 30 years. When we were reading for a law degree at Fabre College, we came across an article he did during the MPRC, challenging the MPRC's Saturday cleaning as unconstitutional. You can imagine those young men with guns. He wrote to them, challenged them. You know, when they arrested few people for cleaning, for violating the Saturday, challenged them in court and got those people off.
Wow.
Those were the days when young men had all the exuberance with guns.
Yeah.
And this young lawyer stood up against them. Now we don't have gun-toting leaders, right? Right. So I felt that I was really inspired by him. As Providence would have it, I ended up as his pupil. Okay. Yes, and I worked with him for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And yes, there are other few mentors. For example, Dr. Abdullah Conte. Okay. Abdul Tijan Cole, the former ACC boss. Yeah. Yes, to name a few. But I mean, these three male mentors have had such an impact in my life. Wow. And you know, in terms of the female mentors, Binta Mansaye.
So we send shout outs to these mentors by extending again a very warm gesture from this show to you. And as we wrap up the program, we have a lot of people who admire your work, whether you know them or you don't. They admire your discipline, your work ethics, your social media professionalism. What words of inspiration do you have for them? What advice do you have for the people of Sierra Leone, young people watching over the continent?
I think my simple message is that we should believe in this country. We should believe that we still have good men and good women in Sierra Leone, and that we should always strive to do our best. Okay. I say this because I come from, and I always mention this so emotionally, that 10 years ago I could not imagine this life. You know, when I was in the law school, I was squatting with a friend. I was living with a friend in a very small, tight room, right? But I believed then that with hard work and education, my circumstances would change.
Oh, definitely change.
And I think it's the same notes of hope that I extend to especially young people. Whether you're a plumber, whether you're a driver, if you work hard and you are consistent in what you do, You can. You know, so during my practice years, I've come across folks who are really highly educated, but they are not successful in life.
Right.
I've come across folks who did not darken the walls of college. They are so successful. And I've sat there in my chair and I've said to myself that the difference is how you approach life. So it's not your degree that will change your life. Mm-hmm. It is how you approach life. And I've always said to young people, you should approach life in such a manner that you tell yourself on a daily basis that I want to succeed. So if you're a driver, you tell yourself, I want to succeed while driving, your story will change. And if mine could change in this dramatic fashion, you know, I published my story about dropping out for a whole year in college. A whole year, I could not pay fees. You know, when you look at my circumstances now, you would not believe. You would not believe that I wore slippers to college. Yeah. And you know, I always tell people that, you know, not to sound condescending to folks who come from the provinces, I was born in Freetown. I was raised in Freetown. I just didn't have the means, right? But with hard work and dedication, a lot could change. I've said this to many young people, that you do not need to go through shortcuts in life. Right. You do not. Right. Right. I had many other shortcut options, but I said no. You chose to go through the I was going to go back and then complete my course, and my 10 years or more later. So the simple message is that we have to believe. And I believe in the future of this country. I believe that this is a good country, and I believe that it's possible that we can turn this country so dramatically for good fortunes.
Okay, so we thank you so much for being part of our show. We are grateful and honored to have you on board.
Thank you, sir.
So as you rightly mentioned, Mr. Augustine Sorie-Sengbe Marrah said, your approach to life is so much important to the success that you gain tomorrow. So as a young person watching this show, as a young person following our programs, make sure you think about your approach to life, because here is a gentleman who came from a very, well, I wouldn't say poor background, disadvantaged background. Now here he is today as a very successful lawyer, a professional at it, and a strong advocate. So our approaches to life is very much dependent on our success. We want to say thank you so much, and we look forward to having another show. Please, before going, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Thanks for watching the Meet Professionals show. You can also be a professional.